All right, so we're going to fill out the 2023 NCAA Division One wrestling bracket starting at 125. Each of the three of us have filled out our own individual brackets, but we're going to fill them out together on a 2 out of 3 basis and comment on how we did it versus how we're going to do it consensually. So let's get this started off. I think there's no question that Spencer Lee is going to beat whoever the winner is of the Rat Tail match.
Yeah, no, I did put Lee as winning that one. Yeah,
I have Lee beating Tucker Owens from Air Force. Sorry,
I
Tanner.
had Tucker Owens winning as well.
Yeah,
I
Tanner.
have Tanner Jordan, but I don't really know either of those guys. Sorry,
I mean,
but
I looked up their records, and it just seemed like Tucker Owens had more quality wins. He looked like he
Yeah.
had a better overall season, so
Say though, if they knock off Lee, it's you won't stop hearing about it.
that's very true. You
so what
heard
about
it.
this one? Ethan Bergink versus Jack Medley. Army
I got
versus
I,
I got Medley.
I put Bergink. I really like Jack Medley. He usually wrestles really tough, but then again, I've been looking at like everyone's full season, and Bergink seems like he's been more consistent.
I
yeah.
have a blast. Sorry, Jack.
I think he's a freshman, Bergink. I also had Bergink, so sorry, Mike,
That's
but
fine. I have a Big Ten bias anyway. I'm like, oh, Big Ten. You take a loss in the Big Ten. I'm like, oh, they're still better than any
Yeah,
other
well, no,
team.
yeah, I
Which
mean,
is
most of the time you're right.
yeah, but looking at the record, I mean, Berging only has 6 losses. I mean, Medley has nearly twice as many
Yeah.
and less wins. So
Oh,
how about
well, we'll
this one?
see.
Eric Barnett, Wisconsin versus Nick Babin of Columbia.
I'd be shocked if Barnett didn't win that.
yeah, Barnett's my pick.
We're all in agreement there. All right, interesting one right here. Joey Prada versus Anthony Noto. Noto has
I
only 2 losses of Lockhaven, but his quality of competition really hasn't been that impressive this year.
Yeah, Noto hasn't had a lot of tough matches. I picked Prada to upset him here.
I actually had Noto, despite his like quality of opponents. I still think he's a top guy. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't see
he
him going
is.
far in the in this national championship, but I think he's going to at least win his opening match against
I don't
Prada.
know. Prada's I'd say scrappy. I think he could pull it off, but
I agree,
sounds
Prada's scrappy, but I also had Noto, so based on the two versus
dang.
one,
You hate to see it.
going Noto. Now this one's interesting. I think this is probably the lowest seeded guy that just shouldn't be there. Killing Cardinale is actually undefeated. He technically has 1 loss, but it was a med forfeit in the Big 12s. This guy hasn't lost this year, and he's the 28 seed.
That's
I had
unbelievable.
Cardinale winning this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised to see Cardinale so low. Because I was like looking at the bracket quickly, and I was like, oh, just go by seeding, blah blah blah. And I was like, wait, 28 seed. And no
Yeah.
disrespect to App State. I mean, they're a great program. Caleb Smith, only a handful of losses on the season and closing in on 30 wins. So the guy scraps and he puts in the matches. But
No,
I'm gonna go
I have to
Cardinals.
go Cardinal too.
Yeah,
I, returning All American, you can't
yeah, that's you can't be against.
ignore that, especially when he's not even having a loss. It's not even like he's having a bad season.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, Jory Volk of Wyoming versus Michael D'Agostino. I put D'Agostino Big Ten. Tough guy. He's been around for a lot of years. Jory Volk. Again, he's tough, but I have D'Agostino.
same thing with I have D'Agostino as well. It was interesting to see that his like record was 9-7 though.
Yeah, I
I
had
feel like
DX. But
it's
all of his losses are to like really like top
yeah,
guys, so it's not like he's losing to the guys he shouldn't be.
Big Ten bias right there.
Well, here's another Big Ten. Dean Peterson of Rutgers versus Jarrett Trombley of NC State.
I put Peterson. I just think he's a tougher wrestler. Like Tremblay, I mean, he's had some surprising wins, but overall, I think Peterson's the guy that's going to win that.
I put
I,
Trombley. I know that he's like maybe Camacho's backup. Shout out to Danbury. But I think that NC State's just a great program. I think that what they do over there is incredible. Not that Rutgers isn't a top program. I just don't know if they're quite as prepared as the NC State room is for nationals. So I'm going with Trombley.
I had Peterson.
Bold.
I wouldn't be surprised if that one went out either way, but I
Yeah,
went.
it could definitely go the other way, but I just was leaning more towards Peterson in that matchup.
All right, how about this? Connecticut native Nico Provo of Stanford versus
I
Matt
love to
Ramos.
see that he qualified.
Yeah.
Ramos is tough. I think he's the only guy that has actually gave Spencer Lee a run for his money this year, so I put Ramos.
Interestingly, though, so I picked Ramos as well, but he
Yeah.
got majored last week in the Big Tens by I think D'Agostino actually.
Yeah, I think that.
So I don't know what's up with that because Matt Ramos is the only wrestler again, high school
Yeah,
guy.
like an 8-1, 8-0 lead on Spencer
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah.
That was
And
wild.
he also teched Jax Forrest, who again is a high school wrestler, but Jax Forrest has beaten guys that are in this bracket already.
Brett Unger?
Besides Matt, yeah, he beat up Unger. So, take that with a grain of salt. And Matt Ramos teched him. So,
Yeah, no, I had Ramos definitely.
All right, bottom half of the bracket: Liam Cronin versus Antonio Lorenzo. I don't know anything about Lorenzo, so I put Cronin.
I like his name, but I also picked Cronin.
Yeah, I picked Cronin. Yeah, yeah.
Noah Certain of Mizzou versus Braxton Brown of Maryland.
Certain's usually pretty tough, so I went with Certain. I didn't know too much about Brown. I looked into his schedule, but overall, Certain seemed like the guy to go for.
Yep, Missouri.
All right, Pat McKee versus Diego Sotelo of Harvard.
McKee, he's been a top guy in the mix every year, so it was hard to not choose McKee. So I had to go.
Right?
Yeah, returning All-American. I think it was last year, the year before. He lost in the first round and then won 7 straight to get third.
So like I predict he's probably going to do the same thing again. No one wrestles back like Pat McKee. Dude, if the world's, he'll take bronze. I mean, he'll lose. He just can't be beaten in the wrestlebacks. But yeah,
he can't be beaten the wrestlebacks.
All right, Steve Poulin of University of Northern Colorado versus Eddie Ventresca of Virginia Tech. I love Poulin ever since his viral video as a youth.
My life be like.
And I'm pulling for Poulin here. I actually think a lot of people think this is an overseed for him, but he won the Big 12s in pretty dominant fashion. He's got 5 losses though, and he's technically a freshman, even though he's.
I mean, I was surprised to see he was seeded 6th. I thought that was a bit high, but I still think he's going to end up beating Ventresca.
Same thing as Jack, big Steve Poulin fan since the "My Life Be Like" Mohawk video when he was like 6 popped off, and you always wonder what happens to these elite youth kids, and it's great to see he's still mixing it up and hopefully going to be an All-American. But I have him as my pick over Ventresca as well.
All right. Program on the rise, Oregon State's Brandon Kaler versus Jack Wagner of UNC.
Kaler's tough year in, year out, so I had to go Kaler.
I don't know much about either of these guys, but I went by Kaler kind of based on the seed and the program. I like the program, what they're doing over there.
Indeed.
All right. Jake Ferry, tough senior from Kent State versus Brandon Courtney.
Yeah, he's a New England native.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't Ferry wrestle Ryan Jack?
Oh, maybe.
I thought that was someone who beat him as a freshman. That's
yeah.
I don't remember.
It might have, yeah. I remember him having an intense stare down at the high school
tournament.
Yeah, the Lowell holiday tournament. Didn't even blink for like 10 minutes straight.
What a battle.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I did pick Brandon Courtney returning.
Yes, I also picked Courtney. So.
We're all in agreement there.
I mean, maybe there's going to be a great stare down. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
We got 2 EIWA guys, Brett Unger of Cornell versus Ryan Miller of Penn.
Unger just won the EIWA, so.
Yeah.
No, didn't Pat Glory win it?
Yeah, Pat Glory beat him.
Oh, well.
He won it to Pat Glory. Behind him.
Yeah, it took second. I put Unger because I figured, he definitely placed higher than Miller.
I got Unger as well.
All right, and to finish the first round, Pat Glory versus Reese Withcraft. Actually, a tough first round match. Okie State.
Yeah.
I still put Glory, but
I don't think Glory's going to lose to Whitcraft.
I also picked Pat Glory, but Jack's right. Reese Whitcraft as the 31 was interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's filling in for Master Giovanni getting hurt.
Yeah, there's a Oklahoma State's been having some issues with their lineup.
Yeah.
All right, as we go into what is this, the round of 16, we have Spencer Lee versus Ethan Bergink. Lee.
Yeah.
Objections? Yeah, no. Okay. 9 versus 8, Eric Barnett versus Anthony Noto. I put Barnett here. I don't think Noto is going to pull off the upset. Or actually, it's not even an upset, seeding wise. I think it would be an upset if Noto won this.
Despite the higher seed, yeah. I agree. I picked Barnett, returning All-American. I think he's going to – he's been here and he's gotten the job done before. He'll do it again.
I got Barnett.
Oh, we're all in agreement. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. Killian Cardinale versus D'Agostino. I
was torn.
I have Cardinale.
I was very torn here.
I went D'Agostino.
I was back and forth for a while here, but then ultimately I went with D'Agostino. He's only had really high-level wins. Cardinale's only had 10 matches, so he's clearly not, full season under his belt. I think it'll be a real quality match, but
let the record state I had Cardinale.
I think this one can go either way. I think this is going to be, one that people talk about. They're like, "Oh, can you believe, this is a
round of 16."
Yeah, round of 16 matchup. Is it a round of 16?
Yeah, round of 16.
Matt Ramos.
Okay. Dean Peterson of Rutgers versus Matt Ramos of Purdue. I put Ramos.
Yeah, I think Ramos is going to kill him.
I think Ramos makes it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he just.
This one could be tough. Cronin versus Certain. I put I put Cronin, but I could see it going either way.
I had Cronin going. I didn't. Certain is tough, but Cronin has seemingly reached another level this year. So
I got Cronin.
All in agreement. All right. Pat McKee versus Stevo Poulin. As much as I'm pulling for Poulin, I'm putting Pat McKee winning this one.
Yeah, McKee is the favorite, despite the seeding. I think Poulin still wrestles back well, but I think this is, McKee wins at least for one more round.
I had McKee winning here too. I think that he's the guy that's gonna come out on top.
Brandon Kaler, Oregon State versus Brandon Courtney of ASU. I'm high on Courtney. I know he's 4 losses, but he was a former national finalist, so I think he's gonna make the quarters on this one.
That definitely helped sway me towards Courtney over Kaler, even though Kaler is, really tough.
Yeah, Courtney. I mean, I think that Arizona State was having a really good problem in the sense that they had 2 really top talented 125. So they're like, who do we go with? And I think that they put themselves.
Their backup's really good, right? I forget his name. Undefeated or something in his redshirt year.
Yeah, he was like a 4-time California State champion or something too.
Yeah,
talented.
Last one of the round, Brett Unger versus Pat Glory, another EIWA matchup. Glory beat him last week, so I think Glory.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any question Glory's gonna win there.
Yeah, I think that this is a pretty set bracket for the finals, but we'll see what happens.
Spencer Lee, all in agreement?
Yeah, we love Barnett, but sorry, he ain't knocking off Spencer Lee.
Okay, D'Agostino versus Ramos. I'm pulling from Ramos. Lee rematch, so I'm going Ramos.
I as well. I want that rematch. I want to see if Ramos can take it to him and pull off not getting pinned this go around.
I say Ramos because it also makes him having a match with Jax Forrest, who's a freshman in high school, look that much better.
Cronin McKee. This is interesting. Did they face off in the Big Tens? I don't know. I don't remember.
I'd have to pull up the bracket.
The last time they wrestled, Cronin won. I'm not sure if it was at the Big Tens or if it was in the duel, but Cronin won I think by 4 or 5 points. But that being said, I still went with McKee. McKee turns it on at the national tournament, and Cronin has not had as much success when he gets there, so I feel like McKee's going to turn it on and punch his ticket to the semis.
I think Cronin.
There you go.
What did you say, Mike?
I put Cronin. I think that Nebraska is really good this year. I think that they're doing all the right things. I think they're a top team, and I think they're going to be ready for this match.
I said McKee.
All right, last one of the quarters. Brandon Courtney versus Pat Glory.
I love a good upset, and I really wanted to pick Courtney, but no, I had to go Glory.
Yeah, I want Glory. I just think that it'll be interesting to see how the multiple day weigh-ins affect him. He was up at like 133 a few times this season, which is kind of rare, especially for college wrestling. So, clearly he's having trouble holding the weight. I
Yeah.
wonder how the multiple day weigh-in is going to affect him, and if guys are going to try and be like, bounce on him right off the scale. So
We'll see. So we have the 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the semis. Spencer Lee versus Matt Ramos. Is Ramos going to pull off the upset? I say no.
I mean, I think the world would love to see it. They'd lose their mind, but no, I don't. I picked Lee. I don't see it happening, even though I
think
would enjoy watching it
the
happen.
world also wants to see Lee be a
Get his
four-time.
fourth. Yeah,
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
That's the big storyline. Him and Yanni.
who will get it first?
Cronin, Glory. I put Glory.
Yeah,
I picked Glory over McKee.
we'll see what happens.
And the finals here. These guys have wrestled before in the national finals, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think last year. No, not last year.
No, I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
they haven't then.
No,
I
they
don't think
haven't.
Glory was in the finals last year and he lost, but it wasn't to Lee.
I don't think they've wrestled in the finals, or I don't think they've wrestled in general.
Soriano, right? Soriano.
Yeah.
Glory was
Well,
up to 33. No.
I picked Lee.
Yeah.
You don't bet against that horse.
All right, so there we have it. We have our 125 champion, Spencer Lee. Not any major big surprises. I think this bracket was pretty well seeded for the most part, but there could be some upsets. Pat McKee being one of them. D'Agostino, perhaps. Killian Cardinale, perhaps. So some potential bracket busters right there.
Even if they do try to bust the bracket, I don't think they're going to get that deep.
Yeah, this is. I think the placing round's gonna be more interesting for this. I
Yeah.
think that Pat Glory and Spencer Lee are pretty heavy favorites. I think that anyone would be surprised to see anybody but Spencer on the top half, and then I think Pat Glory's got about a 70 to 80% chance on the bottom half. I don't know if
That's fair.
that's really too crazy.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.